The moment always arrives quietly, not with a breakup, not with an argument, not with a dramatic confession. It arrives in silence. Before we go deeper, hit subscribe and like the video. This is DepthRealm, where we expose the patterns people don't want to face. For years, attention felt like proof. Messages, compliments, desire, presence, consistency of contact. Felt like interest, felt like care, felt like investment. And most women were never taught to question it. Why would they? Attention was always there. It followed them through their 20s. It validated them in their 30s. It reassured them when doubt crept in. Attention felt like selection. But attention is cheap. Commitment is not. The confusion between the two is the most expensive misunderstanding modern women make. Attention requires nothing. No sacrifice. No future cost. No accountability. Commitment requires structure. Consistency under pressure. Presence when it's inconvenient. Investment when novelty fades. And the two feel identical until they don't. At first, attention mimics commitment perfectly. He texts every day. He shows interest. He wants time. He listens. He desires. But nothing changes. No integration into his life. No long-term planning. No escalation of responsibility. No shared future language. Just repetition. And repetition without progression is not building. It's stalling. Most women don't notice this early because attention feels emotionally satisfying. It regulates the nervous system, quiets insecurity, creates a sense of being chosen. But being desired and being chosen are not the same thing. Desire can exist without risk. Commitment cannot. The moment of realization doesn't happen when attention stops. It happens when attention continues but nothing else does. Months pass, sometimes years. She knows his routine, his moods, his patterns, but she doesn't know her place. She's present but not prioritized, included but not integrated, wanted but not secured. And that's when the discomfort begins. Because attention without commitment creates a specific kind of anxiety. Not rejection anxiety, ambiguity anxiety. The nervous system doesn't know whether to relax or prepare for loss. And humans cannot live long in ambiguity without paying a psychological cost. This is why the realization feels destabilizing. She starts asking questions she avoided before. Where is this going? What are we building? Why hasn't anything changed? And often the answers are vague, deflective, postponed. Let's not rush. I'm not there yet. I like what we have. Why do we need labels? These aren't lies. They're boundaries. But they expose the truth attention was hiding. He enjoys access without obligation, connection without responsibility, intimacy without consequence. And this is where the emotional math collapses. Because women invest emotionally in response to attention. Men invest structurally in response to intention. When intention never appears, the imbalance grows. She begins to feel foolish, not because she was naive, but because she trusted a signal that wasn't meant to carry weight. Attention feels personal. Commitment is positional. One says, I like you. The other says, I'm choosing you. And the gap between liking and choosing is where disillusionment lives. Here's the part no one prepares women for. Many men give attention sincerely. They aren't plotting. They aren't manipulating. They're simply comfortable. Comfortable with access. Comfortable with routine. Comfortable with benefits that don't require escalation. Attention keeps things pleasant. Commitment disrupts equilibrium. And most people don't disrupt equilibrium unless something forces them to. The problem isn't that women misread attention. It's that culture trained them to. Attention is treated as currency. as proof of worth, as evidence of value. Social media reinforced this illusion. Dating apps amplified it. Modern dating normalized it. Attention became abundant, so it felt meaningful. But abundance devalues currency. The moment women realize attention isn't commitment is the moment abundance turns into emptiness. Because suddenly, the messages don't feel reassuring anymore. They feel hollow. The compliments don't feel affirming. They feel performative. The presence doesn't feel grounding. It feels conditional. And the silence between interactions grows louder. This is when women feel betrayed, not by men, but by a misunderstanding they were never taught to question. They believed effort equaled investment. They believed desire equaled intention. They believed consistency equaled commitment. But consistency without progression is maintenance, not movement. Here's the brutal truth. Men don't commit because they give attention. They give attention because it costs nothing. Commitment happens when a man risks losing freedom, options, and convenience. Attention doesn't threaten any of that. So when women finally push for clarity, something shifts. The energy changes. The tone tightens. The enthusiasm cools. Not because the man suddenly stopped caring, but because the relationship moved from comfort into cost. And cost reveals priorities. This is where many women feel rejected for the first time. Not rejected as people, rejected as futures. And that rejection cuts deeper because it invalidates time already invested. Time spent believing attention meant progress. This is why the realization hurts more later than earlier. The longer attention substitutes for commitment, the more emotional capital is sunk into an illusion. And sunk cost creates attachment. So when clarity finally arrives, it feels like loss, even if nothing tangible was ever promised. This is where resentment forms. She feels misled. He feels pressured. She feels used. He feels misunderstood. But the truth is simpler. They were operating under different assumptions. She believed attention was a stepping stone. He believed it was the destination. Neither clarified it early. And ambiguity favors the person who wants less. This is the power imbalance no one discusses. The person who wants commitment has more to lose. The person who wants attention has nothing at stake. So the longer ambiguity lasts, the more leverage shifts. By the time she realizes attention isn't commitment, she's already emotionally invested, and he's already comfortable. This is why the realization feels humiliating. Not because she was wrong to want commitment, but because she waited for attention to transform into something it never promised to be. Here's the hard part. Men don't stop committing because women expect too much. They stop committing when expectation arrives after comfort has set in. Expectation early creates choice. Expectation late creates pressure. And pressure rarely produces desire. So many men walk away at this stage, not out of cruelty but out of self-preservation. Because commitment under pressure doesn't feel like choice. It feels like obligation. And no one wants to build a future from obligation. This is why women hear phrases like, "I'm not ready. I don't want to change what we have. I don't feel the same way." Not because nothing was there, but because nothing was growing. Attention sustained the illusion of growth. But growth requires structure. Now comes the turning point. Some women internalize the lesson. They stop confusing attention with intention. They stop investing emotionally without structural movement. They stop rewarding access without direction. They ask early. They observe patterns. They measure progression, not words. And their dating lives become quieter but clearer. Others don't adapt. They chase attention harder. They interpret withdrawal as challenge. They believe if they become more desirable, commitment will follow. But desirability doesn't force commitment. It just increases attention. And attention without intention is the same trap. just louder. This is why some women age into exhaustion instead of clarity. They accumulate experiences but not bonds. Stories but not stability. Connections but not partnerships. Because they were trained to value how many wanted them, not who chose them. The moment women realize attention isn't commitment is painful, but necessary. It strips away illusion. It reveals leverage. It exposes patterns. And once seen, it can't be unseen. Because after that moment, compliments feel different. Consistency is questioned. Words are weighed against action. And the women who accept this truth early stop wasting years. They understand something critical. Attention is a starting signal. Commitment is a decision. One feels good. The other builds a life. And the final truth is this: being wanted by many feels powerful, until you realize none of them are choosing you. And when that realization arrives, everything changes. See the pattern. Protect your energy. This is DepthRealm.